Despite all the hype, the fact remains that on most tracks, the fastest touring cars in Australia are the thundering sports sedans. Lighter, more powerful than their high-profile V8 supercar cousins, the sports sedans, at least at the very top level, are more than a match for the multi-million-dollar budget factory-backed supercars. One of the newest and most advanced sports sedans on the local scene is Dean Randle's stunning new SAAB V8. Although the car may look a lot like Randle's old car, the fact is the SAAB is brand new and features a number of major chassis and suspension improvements. But it's the bodywork that instantly stands out. It's all carbon fibre. Everything, including the roof, A, B and C pillars, doors, even most of the internal air ducting, is 100% carbon fibre. The impressive and massive job done right here in Melbourne by local company Top Stage.
We built Dean's car from scratch. Basically, he provided us with a SAAB, like a standard SAAB, and we built it up from there.
So you mentioned this is you haven't used an autoclave in this. It's a cold process, I believe, sort of like there. So how does it work?
It's as I say, we lay the carbon dry, and then we suck it on vacuum in minus 100 psi, and then yeah, we just transfer the resin through. We get it to an ambient temperature, and yeah.
So how much would a body shell like this, I mean, one of the reasons they changed the regulations was to make it easier to do this sort of thing. I mean, for an average car, if I brought you a Falcon, a Commodore, whatever sort of car it was, roughly how much would it cost to do something like this, to build a body shell for a sports sedan?
To build a body shell from scratch, that's going to be too hard for a normal, normal day-to-day car driver. But to build one like this is, I can't tell you how much. Yeah, because it's I worked around with Dean. yeah, it's hard to say now. Yeah.
But do you think it's affordable? I mean, for a lot of the guys who've got much older body shells here, if they wanted to update, have a more modern body style, something that's more marketable, something that's a bit more efficient aerodynamically, do you think it's affordable at this level?
Yes, why not? Yeah. It's affordable in a lot of ways as well. You can cut down with using cores, instead of using full carbon. It's a lot of options that we can do in to build a car from carbon. Yeah.
Apart from the impressive new bodywork, the car features a number of major improvements over the old car. The car now runs a full chrome molloy chassis constructed by local sports sedan specialist Ron Hossack, replacing the previous car's box section and steel tubing. The 6-litre Chevy engine has been repositioned slightly to the left and further back for better weight distribution and improved driver comfort. The result is improved torsional rigidity and a reduction in overall weight compared with the previous car of about 70 kilograms.
Well, the chassis has been modified a lot from the old one. It's a complete carbon fibre body. Every panel's been remade, new moulds every panel. The aerodynamics has improved a lot at the front of the car. We've used all the old running gear, so the same Hollinger 6-speed sequential, the same engine, rear end. So it's a lot of the old car, but a lot of improvements as well.
So how long has it taken to come up with this device now?
Well, our last race was, we crashed out in November 2007 at Sandown. So it's been 2 years to the day when we started. We pulled the old one apart. We decided we couldn't really do much with the old one. We think we'd reached its limit, so we decided to make a new one.
You mentioned the aerodynamic work, a lot of the work on the aerodynamic. Obviously you don't have the access to all the good gear that the top teams like in DTM and American Le Mans series have. So where do you get the idea for the aerodynamics, and how have you tested it?
Well, the idea is, you don't want any air going under the bonnet. I mean, if you can minimise the amount of air under the bonnet, which gives you uplift, then you're going to have an advantage. These cars have huge rear wings, so we have an imbalance of the front grip to the rear grip. So I wanted to get as much air out from under the bonnet. The only way to do it with these cars is to vent it out through the side of the splitter. We're not permitted to have vents in the bonnet, so we can't vent the air up through the bonnet, so it has to go out the side. So we could have done that with one radiator, like what John's done on his car, but we decided to go to 2 radiators, and it just means a nicer path for the air to exit the car with 2 radiators.
It's probably not the day to test it. I mean, we've got a typical Phillip Island day here, but I mean, do you think you got any worries about cooling of the car under hot conditions with the 2 smaller radiators?
Well, that was a concern, and we haven't really tested it yet. Yesterday was quite hot in the first session. We had to make a slight modification to the way the air exits, and we were running about 85, 86 degrees yesterday. I was quite happy with that. Yeah, it was good.
So how different is it to drive from the old car?
Well, initial reactions, and I've been out of the saddle for 2 years, so I'm pretty rusty, but it pointed really well, and I felt like we had a lot of grip on the front of the car yesterday. The car's also 4 inches longer, so through the high speed stuff it's very stable. Through turn 1 I haven't really pushed it hard, but it felt really stable, very neutral front and rear. So far the indications it's going to be pretty good.
It's a beautiful bit of work, and it's also very sophisticated. I mean, there'd be few sort of categories in the world where you'd have this level of sophistication when, let's face it, you're not running for sheep stations. I mean, are we getting to the point where sports sedans are evolving too much now?
Well, it's not really. I mean, it's still only got a live rear end. I mean, it hasn't got an independent like Tony or Darren's car. It looks sophisticated, but when you break it down in small components, it's not that sophisticated. I mean, the radiator setup, it's not rocket science. It's been done before. It just probably hasn't been done on a sports sedan. The carbon fibre work. Well, I had the great help of Fred from Top Stage, our local Melbourne boy, and he made all the new moulds, and we worked together. I told him what I wanted, and he created all that. Ultimately, I mean, I suppose with a sports sedan, they do evolve, and everyone sets the benchmark. This is not really the benchmark, but you try and improve on your previous model, and eventually the cars get quicker and quicker, and I suppose a bit more sophisticated. But if I was 3 seconds ahead of Tony, I'd say it's fantastic. But at this stage, we're still trying to find some speed.
You mentioned the carbon fibre body. I mean, everything on the car is the roof, the A and B and C pillars, the doors, everything is carbon fibre. Do you think that change in the regulations is a good idea, and do you think that might lead us to seeing some more modern body styles come into sports sedans?
Well, I did that when I had the rollover in 2006. I mean, we destroyed the body shell, so I had to go and buy another car, pull the body shell off it, and then strip it, lighten it, and that is an enormous amount of work. So what we've got now is a set of moulds for the car, and if we roll this or damage it, it's so much easier to make another body shell. So that's the reason I did it. I mean, there is a weight saving, and the weight's lower. You haven't got that heavy weight up the top, so there is an improvement in handling. And look, there is a lot of work in creating a body shell. There's probably more work in the body shell than the chassis. And hopefully it might inspire some other people to make some more cars, put some more cars on the road.
The new car showed plenty of promise on debut, but Dean's chances of a win in the 50k plate ended at the first turn after coming together with Daniel Tomasi's Calibra. It was a sad end to a very encouraging debut, but one that left all present in no doubt that the car and driver are a very real threat when the 2010 Australian Sports Sedan Series begins at Wakefield Park in March this year.